Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Writers Chat. This is where writers like to gather and talk about all things writing for writers and by writers. So we're really glad you're with us today. And we asked everybody to stay on today to do this because we're going to talk about a very special topic. We're going to talk about writing through the hard times. And we're definitely kind of going through some challenging, interesting stretch time, aren't we, here on this? So we thought maybe at least some of us, some of the co-hosts would share a couple ideas we had, and we just make it an open mic day and talk about what's helping us get through this time as writers. We didn't plan ahead of time if Johnny or Bethany are my co-hosts. I'm Jean Wise, and we've got Melissa here someplace, and Jan and Norma, they help us in the background, and a lot of you guys are our good regular crew, so we're really glad to see you guys all here today and not see a bunch of weird strangers. So anyway, welcome on that way. Writing through the hard times. I think that's an appropriate topic. I'm trying to think, did we even know this was coming down when we added this?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember.
Maybe not.
When we created this. Okay, who's got a tip to help us ride through the hard times? They want to start. Okay, Johnny.
Well, I'm going to do this because on my screen, at least, Bethany, Rhonda, and I are all at the top, along with Jeannie. But Bethany, Rhonda, and I all have the same shirt on. I don't know whether you can see it. It says, "I am writing." It's the Serious Writer shirt. And I specifically wore this today as I went through my closet. I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to wear, because sometimes when you're writing through the hard times, you want to be comfy. And I thought this is a comfy shirt. It's really soft. I'm not really here to do a commercial, but it's got good. What?
I know, I was like, don't commercial.
I'm not doing commercial, but yes, I thought it was really cute then to see that I wasn't the only one that picked the Serious Writer shirt this morning. But being comfy can be really helpful when you're writing through the hard times. That's my number one.
I'll give a number two.
All right, number two, Rhonda.
Part of it for me is being nice to myself. I find that I am so performance driven, and it's NaNoWriMo time, and I've set all these goals. I'm at a real delicate place in my career. I'm writing, getting some help from a very special person to write my proposal, and it seems like such there's just a lot going on right now, and I'm like, could this happen to me at a worse time? And I sit down and I can't concentrate. I've got all these really labor-intensive things I'm editing, and it takes a lot of. I can only go an hour or two, and usually I'm good 6 hours a day, no problem. But after about an hour or 2 hours, I'm shot. And I don't know about anybody else, but I've been going in, I've been having my lunch, and then I fall asleep. I'm falling asleep in my chair. I mean, I have a nice comfy recliner, but the thing that I'm learning through all of this is not to pressure myself. Do what I can do, and don't feel guilty if my brain won't work like it always does. Because this crisis we're in and other personal crises can take up brain space. Sometimes I sit down and I say, I've only got 2 brain cells to devote today to writing, and that's just not going to work. So that's my tip. Be nice to yourself. Say to yourself what you would say to a friend who is stuck or struggling. And this is good advice from me. I often counsel this way. Look, what would you say to a friend who is having the problem you're having? And the truth is, I'm a lot more gracious to my friends than I am to myself. So
give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace. Be nice to yourself.
Right. And along with self-grace, there's self-care. You've heard about the quarantine 15, that we might gain 15 pounds through this quarantine. Boy, I tell you, that first week I was in the carbs, but so far I haven't gained any weight. So I've really, really tried. I haven't lost either, but I haven't gained. And we've tried to fix some special stuff eating wise, but we've also tried to really work on keeping up our exercise and walking. We had a couple of nice days in Ohio that we were able to get outside, but it's just that self-care, I think, is important for us too through all this.
Absolutely.
Taking care of ourselves. The other tip I was going to share is, as writers, we should be journaling through this. Think about we have experienced every gamut of emotion any of our characters or that can bring alive there's things you're experiencing right now that'll be great nonfiction examples or stories later. And then if anything, it is a wonderful memoir of what it was like to experience the 2020 pandemic that your great grandchildren could read and think, oh my gosh, look what it was like. Because you guys may not realize, but I was in public health for 26 years, and so, we knew a lot about the 1918 pandemic. And so to see all this is just, it's reliving that history. And I just can't imagine. I hope my grandkids do read what I've been recording, the ups and downs, the fears, because they'll see it from ahead, looking back. So my advice, that would be to journal on that. Someone else got another tip?
Along with that, journaling, having quiet time, picking one or two habits that are just not optional, has been crucial for me. It's like you said, your energy changes. I mean, this is a trauma, and many of us are mourning the loss of things. So to have those one or two things that are not optional, that you're going to do day in and day out, no matter what you feel.
Along that line, I think it's important to have your creative outlets, something that you can go to just vent, to get it all out, to relax, just let your brain dump. I love to sketch and draw and things like that. Don't know if you guys can see.
Wow.
Well, I'll mix.
Alyssa.
Yeah. Hello.
Hidden talents here.
Yeah.
That's better than me. Good
That
job.
is so good.
And I can draw. That's better.
That's me, Jean.
I use it for my character sketches and stuff. I love to draw my characters and different scenes from my books, and so it's an outlet, a way to vent and come up with ideas.
Love that.
I'd be embarrassed for y'all to see even my stick figure. I'm sorry. I missed that train. I think I was talking too much when God was giving out that talent. I missed that one.
Along those lines, if you're musical, I play the flute and the piano, and I have found myself craving that other expression of what's in my soul. And for some people, it might just be playing their iPod. Okay, but for even if you don't, music is very soothing, and I have found myself needing it.
That was
also. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dory.
I was just going to say, it helps me to just take a minute and be honest about what I'm feeling. Sometimes I need to just honestly write it down. Sometimes it turns into a blog post because it's so honest and I feel like it will resonate with people. And it usually does. Sometimes it's just something, I start a blog post and then I never finish it, but I'm being honest and I'm getting it out. So I think it helps me just to be honest.
I like that.
Hey, Bethany, I want to hear about how you relax with happy planning.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's like scrapbooking and to-do lists in one. It's perfect.
Happy planning is her happy place.
It is a happy place. I love it.
Oh, it looks like Brandy does too, huh?
I did mine this morning.
I haven't done
My planning part has gone by the wayside. I've got my notes books that are going.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think also
like the
along the
research?
lines of
Go ahead, Sophia.
okay, along the lines of finding a happy place is finding something that makes you laugh. Laughter is good medicine, and I think finding ways to be entertained with the people you are quarantined with, your family, is really important. Whether you're physically together or not, just laughing together helps soothe souls and frayed edges of too much intense relationship.
Tina?
I think what's helping me is sharing with other people, like giving every day. I've been doing videos that are encouraging videos, and I'm finding that God gives me things that actually not just to help other people, it helps me to do that because I'm an extrovert. So I think you kind of need to know yourself and know what you need to be filled. But I also think you need to share what you need to hear. As communicators, I think God gives us the messages that we need to hear the most to share with other people. So as God is sharing with you what you need to hear, share that with other people, whether it's in writing or in video or in audio. If you're sharing what you need to hear, it will fill you as a person.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a lot of sense. Isabella, there was some noise in your background, so I muted you. So let us know if you want to say something, okay? On that. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Go for it.
Yeah, it was my husband on the phone who was just walking back. And so I think he hasn't, because I have the headphones, so he doesn't realize maybe that I'm on that meeting.
To all of us, we've had cats crawl across our laps and kids come in, so we know what it's like.
Yeah, because the quarantine, I'm with my bigger children. One is 25 and one is 22, and so they came home to have the garden and so on. As for me, for the subject, praise is what fits most for me. I had a very hard time in 2009. At that time, I had in mind to write, but I hadn't started to write already. But I was listening a lot to Brooke Fraser. She's a New Zealander, half Australian, half New Zealander. And she had one song called C.S. Lewis song that was really, it was based on one of C.S. Lewis' poems, saying, I feel like I haven't been created to be in this world because of, sin and everything. And God designed me to be close to God and to be for, eternal life. And that song, because I had a hard time at work, that song was always what sort of kept me alive. And at that time I was journaling a lot and thinking, all the hardship, I'll turn it into a book. And so now that I've been writing and being published since 2014 with different stuff, children books or adults, and some Christians, some not Christians, I still haven't written that book. And I wait to have, the carrier being built. But one day that will come out. But being close to God in praise and worship, that's what keeps me up and keeps me alive.
I love the idea of the praise and the music. It's very positive. Jan, you got something you want to share?
Yeah, I have a tabletop labyrinth.
Yeah.
And if I'm having a tough time, I pull that out and I start with the Lord's Prayer just to help calm everything else and get focused. And then if I can, I quiet my mind and listen for Him to guide me. So that I love doing labyrinths anyway. And when I found the desktop one, it was nice. I could do it anytime, anywhere.
That's a great point. Great point on that. Tina wants to know where you found it. I've seen it at retreat centers.
Yeah, it was at a Christian bookstore up in Michigan that's closed now. I can't remember the name of the chain, but they're all closed.
Desktop or finger or small Amazon. It might take you 10 weeks to get it from Amazon right now, but
yeah.
On that. This is along the line of the prayer and the praise and the music. I've just been looking for hope, just trying to observe it. We've got last year I laughed because there was a robin just outside my window out here on top of one of our speakers very small speaker attempting to build a nest. And I watched her all last spring, and she ended up being successful. I said, last spring, she taught me to be persistent. She was persistent. She'd start that nest and it would fall apart, start that nest and fall apart. And then she had babies and they flew away. It was fun. Didn't she or somebody or the kid or somebody, another Robin, same place, same speaker this year, and watching them and watching her. And I kept thinking, she's not going to get this. Then I got, come on, you can do it. You can do it. You know? And it gave me a lot of hope. And the nest is about done. She just got it. She really made progress yesterday. So we looked on the calendar. It was about this same time last year. She got it done. So maybe it just gave me hope to look for that. So look for hope. Norma?
Well, we were discussing about having this program, and they said, well, we each needed to come up with 2 things. I said chocolate and allow yourself to cry. Because sometimes we do. I heard a speaker just a month before this quarantine happened. It was back in February. And she said that as Christians, we need to allow ourselves to weep the things that we've lost. And we try to always be stoic. And if we don't let that out, it just continues to be in the background, and we can't become whole. We can't move on because we haven't dealt with what's there. And I know somebody else said, give grace to yourself and be kind to yourself, but you have to allow yourself to grieve, and just like you would in a tough situation, whether it's with family health, your health, or something, different life experiences that happen, you have to allow yourself. And I said it kind of tongue in cheek, tears and chocolate, but that is really true. We do need to allow ourselves to grieve what we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So and then chocolate helps with everything. Just saying.
I love it. I love it that way.
I just put a link from Amazon on portable labyrinths. So
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jan. That's cool. And hopefully you can get them fairly soon on that. Dory, that's interesting. Do you want to talk a little bit about that a little bit more? Where's Dory? I lost her on my paper. Where? There she is.
Yeah, I'm here.
There she is, right in the middle for me. I couldn't find you at first. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Well, my husband normally works 3 10-hour days every week, and then he's home the rest of the week. And so we kind of had our rhythm, that's how we lived. And when he came home, we've been very blessed. He's home with pay, and he's home for 4 weeks, but we've had to really work through. I realized that he was feeling left out, and I wasn't experiencing quarantine with him because I was looking at this is my big opportunity to write from morning till night, which I have been. So a couple of days ago, we were doing the dishes, and I just said, so let me ask you a question. I'm not being contentious. How much are you okay with me writing? What is your expectation? And as much as you need to write. And I said, what if I knock off by 6 o'clock at night, generally most nights, and then we have TV time or whatever. And we kind of came to an agreement, and it's working really well for us. But just managing that expectation of the people you're quarantined with, because they're in a different position too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Many of us have kids that are home with us. And so it was kind of a recalibration of, our order and our structure. And I was like strangely aware of how much their teachers do in a day. I mean, it's intense. And my daughter in particular has a lot of work to do. So, having that flexibility built in of going, I'm here and I'm available, but also having the limits of going, this is my time to write, guys. You got to protect this space because we all share it. So it's not, I can't go hide away.
Right. I helped facilitate our young adult Bible study from church, and we did it by Zoom Sunday night. And almost all of them are teachers by chance. Not all of them are, but almost all of them are. And they made the comment that they had to have a conversation in their family that this wasn't that, I'll use my daughter's name, it's Katie was one. She said, I'm not summer Katie, meaning in summer as a teacher, when she's home, it's different. Now she's still teaching. She has work she has to do as a teacher, plus homeschool her kids on that. So she is working full the balance of those two, where her normal when she is home, she's summer Katie, if she's off for a couple months over summer. And I thought that was an interesting observation. So
I'll just throw in quickly. I led women's retreats for our denomination, and one year we had a wonderful speaker. Her name was Margaret Jensen, Jensen, and she wrote a book called First We Have Coffee, and it was about her mother on pioneer times. And Margaret was in her 80s when she spoke to us, and she said her mama out on the pioneer times, and you know how much there were. I mean, we feel like pioneers, don't we? If I'm thinking about baking bread, it's pandemic. So she said her mother would sit down in a rocking chair. She wore an apron all the time. She would sit down in a rocking chair and put her apron over her head.
Mm-hmm.
And when the kids knew, when the apron's over the head, leave mama alone. And we may not wear aprons, but I do think, Carissa, we need to have that apron over the head moment, some kind of signal that our families understand I've had it. I need a moment. She said, I talked to Jesus, it'd be better, and she's Swedish. I talked to Jesus, it'd be better. So it's good for the kids, if you get that apron over your head moment.
I love that. I love that. That's Susanna Wesley. They said that of her when she had 14 kids. And they said that she'd put the apron over her head for a moment of prayer, and the kids knew that. Or hide in the bathroom. Who wrote that? Bethany? Yeah, hide in the bathroom and stuff. And Leslie says she has a book in the bathroom to hide.
No, the bathroom around here doesn't work. Once you're in the bathroom, that's the cue for everybody to knock it down.
Thank you. I will be in the bathroom with my kids all day, and I leave, and it's like they all need me. I'm like, why? What trigger went off in your brain at this moment? Just leave me alone.
Nobody's mentioned to watch our limitations on news, how much news to take in. It seemed like that first week, it was like I was on too much on the news. And I have just learned that there's certain times of day that I just don't turn it on.
Yeah. I heard somebody give the good tip. They actually do not visually watch news. They do written news, so that way they can limit what they're taking in. Whereas with visual, whatever they throw at you, that's what you're watching, kind of thing. And with the written, you can pick and choose what you're reading.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Another little tip too that we've done. Nate went to the grocery store, to Walmart, and he was going to get a puzzle. They only had 4. They were all Pokemon puzzles, but he did pick one. And we've been working on this puzzle, and it takes up the whole table. I mean, we can't even eat there anymore. But, it's fun just to be able to, it's there, and the pieces are some pieces are in different bowls for different reasons. And then, of course, there's the box still full of pieces. It's 2,000 pieces. And, just to spend a few minutes at different times during the day. And actually, I'm bad. Like, if I sit down to do it, it's like a half hour can go by and I don't even realize it. But it's such a brainless thing. And I've been so, busy with deadlines and on deadlines. And like Rhonda said, usually I could write for hours, and I just couldn't. I would tell myself I have to be writing and just could not. But this is just a good distraction. I mean, it's mindless sort of, and it's an easy thing to do. And, a puzzle, a game, something.
I'll tell you why that works, Johnny. I also was the administrator of a private school, and our philosophy was on multiple intelligences, that brains work in different ways, and you have different kinds of intelligence.
Yeah.
Those of us who are writers, we are using our what I call word smarts.
Yeah.
So find an activity that use a different kind of smarts, and a puzzle is kinesiology. It's manipulating something with your hands. It's a completely different activity. Taking a walk is bringing out your physical intelligence. And so there's for me, my hobby is reading. Well, that doesn't really pair really well when I can't write, because it's engaging the same intelligence. So my husband is encouraging me to walk.
Well, and it is just that you get that little, like every time a piece goes, you get that little, I don't know, dopamine or whatever, you know, and it's like, ooh, you know, ooh.
And that's why that works.
Yeah.
And that's why drawing works for Melissa.
Yeah.
Drawing, it takes out a different kind of intelligence of your brain.
This puzzle has like all these different, it's like one puzzle, but then it's got like the different Pokemon creatures or whatever they're called. I don't even know what they are. I don't know the names of any of them. And they're in different boxes. So there's even that little bit of satisfaction when you've actually completed like a whole creature, you know, a whole little box. And it's like, I did this one. And he'll come out of his room where he's working from home. I'll say, look at the puzzle. Look what I did. I finished this one and this one and this one. I'm so proud of myself.
and what Dory said, interpersonal intelligence is another kind of intelligence. So that relationship intelligence, to sit down and talk about expectations and deliberately spend time connecting with people, which is something that sometimes a lot of writers don't do that very well. We have to make a real effort to connect with people. And so that's why those things, I'm trying to make myself do what is not innate in me and work outside my main intelligence. And it helps.
It's an opportunity to grow and stretch ourselves.
Yeah.
There's been a couple great comments in the chat real quick here on that. Tina, your idea about create coloring pages for our works in progress. I have a friend who's an organizer, and she creates puzzles, because you can send in pictures and have them made into puzzles. Probably, like you said, it'll take longer now because everybody's into puzzles. We should do that for some of our works in progress. Create a puzzle. Alyssa can draw them for us. And could make puzzles out of them. I think it's great. And then I wanted to comment, Brandy made a comment when we talked about social media about, remember, we could snooze people for 30 days if they really get into us. And there's been several that have gotten so political. I'll snooze them, you know. So, yes, that's a good person. Somebody, Johnny.
Dory, I want Dory, for the record, to say what she just put in chat.
Okay. Yes, that was the other one I was going to go to. Dory, say it.
I have been writing way too much. My character in my story, Emma, needs a cell phone because it's a long story, but she needs a cell phone. And this morning, Mike and I were talking about our bills, and he was talking about our cell phone bill. He said, you can add a line for only thus. And so I said, Emma needs a line. And I said, no. And the funny part is, he knew exactly who I was talking about. He knows exactly who Emma is. He was like, this is not that. It's a true story. Absolutely true.
I love it.
That is great. The characters come alive, don't they?
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Oh, I got on a tangent one time talking about the characters, and my husband is the second person who said it to me. You're talking about them like they're real people.
Yeah.
They kind of are.
They are.
Mom, these people are
Unlike a lot of you, I'm quarantined by myself.
Oh, Mary.
I'm used to going out and going to my granddaughter's events and picking them up after school, and it's been a real change. It's been a hard change.
Yeah, it is.
But I FaceTime them once a week. I try not to overdo that. But it's a different situation when you aren't supposed to go out.
Yeah. So we're glad you're with us today.
Yeah, I can go out, but you're supposed to stay home most of the time. And it's like, okay, well, I'm an introvert, but it's still hard.
Leslie, were you going to add something?
Yeah, what we've been doing is we have a trail near us in a park and a public park, and those are not closed. And as long as you're keeping distance from people, you can do them. Now, our weather has not been the greatest. So what we've been doing is putting on YouTube. They have these people that have, I guess, recorded nature scenes. And so you'll have a sunny scene. It might be a mountain stream or something like that. And you hear the birds. And so you feel like you're outside. For Easter Sunday, it got so hot in our house that we had, it was cloudy, but we were able to just eat outside, to have a break. to be outside a little bit. The puzzles have helped me too, because I found a puzzle book for $2. I was so excited. Because I love doing puzzles. I have all these puzzles. I used to glue them together to try and make pictures and hang on the wall. But I can't do puzzles because I don't have a caddy or a table where it's not going to get bumped and lose pieces. So that's something that I want to get down the road. But another thing is my favorite author. We talked about favorite books. And Julia Cameron, I was able to get, before the library shut down, I was able to request some of her books that I didn't have. One was Sound of Paper, and the other one is God is No Laughing Matter. And those two books have been inspirational to me, because one is spiritual, and then the other one is just a daily getting you into the habit. And with Isaac and Ken both being home, it's been hard for me to just have my own time. And I said, I'm just going to have to set a timer or a time that is just my time, and you lock you guys out, like go in a room, shut the door, and this is my time, because it's hard. You feel like for me, I feel guilty if I'm not around them and interacting with them and doing things for them. So it's not so much giving the grace, but giving myself the permission to go and write and not feel guilty for doing that.
That's right.
Leslie, something you said sparked off an idea. Instead of watching the news, I have a YouTube app on my smart TV. My TV is smarter than me. And I looked up on YouTube just bird song, and I came up with a video. It was a recording of nightingales. It was 3 hours long. I just turned that on and filled my house with the sound of birds. Right. It was incredible. Right. How relaxing that was. It just took all of the tension that I felt out of me. And I think there are things like that in nature that God made us to want to commune with nature. And that was a really good morning for me recently.
They have ones for the beach. They have ones for, where you can hear the water. They have waterfall ones. They have ones that have music. I even found one that said happy work music or something, it has a smiley face on it. And all the music is just, it's instrumental, but it's just happy. So it changes your mood.
It's up. And I thought Christy had a really good idea in the chat that, chat just jumped on me, was she's used to help her write during this time has been the April Poem a Day Challenge. So a little mini challenge like that is super. Christy, I think that is a great idea. And so I just think, wow. So, and they're doable, small chunks, small goals, instead of sometimes big goals. Especially, I go back to what Rhonda says. I've had trouble also focusing, even though I've got more time. I'm admiring Dory's writing, as long as she is. I'm just envious of that. But that focus but small goals. So a lot of times I'll say I'm going to do this one thing, and then I can get it done.
I have 3 tips.
What's your tips, Brandon?
Okay, so the first one is go outside and sit in the sun. 2 reasons. The sun helps you to feel better. The vitamin D it helps your body to produce does a lot of good for your actual physical health. And the second thing is that when you get the sunlight, you get it into your eyes, it's going to help get rid of some depression from being indoors all the time. So go out, sit in the sun if you can. If it's not raining, just get out there, soak it up, 20 minutes, and that will really help just your overall sense of well-being. We've had a lot of rainy days, but I'm sitting there going, sun, 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 when's it coming? And I'm trying, even if it's chilly, I have gone outside and it's been chilly and I have sat with a blanket around me and I've let the sun soak on my head. And it's really made a difference. It really has. So that's tip number 1. And before tip number 2, which is partly this is for Melissa. This is my digital drawing that my printer does a terrible job at printing. I actually made this on my iPad, but that goes along with learn something new. Good point. This is a crocheted bag. That doubles for a hat. I typically knit. So crocheting is one of those things that I started out learning as a kid. But I got so confused by, do I put my thing in the front or the back of the hole or in the post, or that I just got so upset with crocheting, I just threw it away. So I actually went and I learned how to knit, and I got better at knitting. And so I said, okay, you know what? I got time. I need to do something other than writing. So I'm going to try to go back to crochet. Now I have YouTube videos, whereas that wasn't available when I was a kid, right? So I've gone back and I said, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? So I actually made something crocheted that's not a scarf. So learn something new.
I love it. Brandy, those are beautiful. That's beautiful.
I actually have a sock on my knitting needles that, so I'm yeah, that's also new, you know, so, but then my third tip is find a group of friends or a couple of people outside your family that you can connect with on a regular basis from week to week, that you can just really share with. Somebody that's close to you, you can really be real with and tell how you're feeling and going through everything. They don't necessarily have to be writing friends. They can be writing friends. They can be any other kind of friends. They can be church friends, just somebody outside your particular house that you can connect with so that you feel like you are reaching beyond your current surroundings.
Love it. Great suggestion. And then reaching out to someone else helps them as much as it helps you, doesn't it?
Yep.
So, well, you guys, this has been great today and stuff. It's like I said, I don't know what it is about when we all get together. It just always inspires, doesn't it? And helps and connects and all that way. It is noon, so we'll probably wrap this up. I did look at next week, and it's Johnny and friends, Johnny and Melissa, and I don't know who else. Do you want to say what you're doing next week?
Yes. Melissa, Norma, and I are doing a quick little overview of fiction. Not quick, but an overview of writing fiction. So we're going to be talking about story, characters, and plot. So we're not going to be going really in depth into any of those, but kind of give more of an overview. And we invite you all to come, even if you write nonfiction, because as we all know, nonfiction writers also need to know fiction techniques. So that's the plan. We're going to be talking about fiction.
And stuff. And we were glad to have everybody here with us today. And for a couple of you that haven't been here for a while, what we do is we wrap up the recording right about at the top of the hour. But then we stay on for a few minutes afterwards. We call it our after party, where we just do some sharing. And so we'll see you all next week for fiction, whatever you want to call it.
101. Fiction 101 is what we're calling it.
Fiction 101. We'll call it fiction. And we'll see you guys all next week. And stay healthy and stay positive and keep writing. Right? Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. I can't find the end record button. It's gone.
It's gone.
There we go.